So here's a simple practice to start getting in touch with what your yes and your no feel like in your own body, mind, in your own being. And I believe that that's the first step. The first step is actually just to get to know ourselves, to use this as information. And my encouragement is to approach this practice and this tool like any practice is as an exploration, to approach this as a way of getting to know yourself, coming in with an attitude of curiosity, like, well, what if I did discover something that I didn't know about myself? The more you can approach this with an attitude of curiosity, the more effective it is. So the way that you would do it is that you would either find a place to sit comfortably, like where you want to be able to actually relax. It's less of, where you're going to sit on a cushion and, straight spine meditation. If that's a really comfortable place for you, if you've done a lot of that, then by all means use it. But for most people, find yourself in a big comfortable chair, on a comfortable couch, lie down in your bed, set up a yoga mat and put a little pillow or a little blanket under your head. Like, find a way that your body can actually be more relaxed rather than more working, so your attention is not on the trying to keep yourself straight or on having to work with your posture. Your attention can really go inward. So set yourself up, and I encourage people to set a timer, because that first of all, it creates a certain space. It says this is the container, right? Maybe the bed is the container, maybe the chair is the container, or the yoga mat, like you set the space. And then the timer is part of that container. And it takes, sort of relieves that part of your mind from needing to be active, so that it can all be present for the actual practice, the actual tool. And you can start with 3 minutes. You can start with 5 minutes. You can do this for 10 minutes. It's a short-ish practice, so you probably don't need more than like 5 to 7 minutes. But more important than like the length of time is actually consistency. Consistency is what tells your unconscious, what tells the part of yourself that you're actually talking to, that it can trust you, that you are listening. So once you set the space, and again, you might just want to start with 3 minutes, 5 minutes, is that the first part is that you're going to ask yourself questions to which the answer is yes. So, for me, I could say, is my name Kendra? Some people, that's not an automatic yes, right? They don't have something like that, but is to find like, is my name Kendra? And then feel or listen, kind of stay open to sensations, stay open to images, stay open to words coming through, stay open to your body sensations that come when you ask yourself a question that the answer is yes. Do I love the smell of lilacs? Do I love swimming in the warm ocean of Hawaii? So whatever, things where it's like, oh, that's an automatic yes. Don't give yourself challenging questions that's like, well, sometimes, maybe, if it's like this, like really the ones that are a true yes. Do I love the taste of an Asian pear picked fresh from the tree? Does it delight me when I hear my children laughing together? These are just easy, like, yes, this is absolutely, the answer is yes. And then again, to approach yourself with curiosity, to let it be okay if you're like, well, I'm not sure what the response was, but really notice everything. I used to teach this and always talk about the physical sensations, because that's so much how my being speaks to me. And then working with hundreds and thousands of women, I started to realize, and actually, frankly, men and women, I started to realize that some people, it was really different. And I have had this experience too. Sometimes there's literally words that come through my mind Sometimes it's actual physical sensations. Sometimes it's more like images. Sometimes there's sensations in parts of your body you wouldn't expect, right? It might be your hands or your feet or your spine. People often expect to feel something in their heart or their gut, and it may be there, but it may not. It may also be a whole confluence of things, like, the back of my head buzzes, my belly softens, and I hear a yes. It could be any of these things, but start to pay attention. The second piece is to do the same thing, but ask yourself questions to which you know the answer is no. Do I love wiping my children's butts? Does it feel good when I stub my toe? Things, again, where it's just like, the answer is just like, well, no, do I love my children? Absolutely. Do I love wiping their butts? No. So it's like these obvious, just really obvious, like this is a no. And do the same thing where you stay open to what is the experience in your whole body, mind, physiology, psyche, and let it be this open experience of curiosity. Let yourself be surprised. Some of it may be obvious, like, oh yeah, I actually kind of knew my stomach clenched when I feel a no. I already knew that, but there was this other piece that happened that I didn't know that was also a no. Let yourself actually discover yourself. And this is why it's so important to do this consistently. I have had people do this practice for, even where for 2 weeks, they kept saying, I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. And then suddenly they were like, oh, I'm having this experience, but it wasn't what I expected, so I discounted it for 2 weeks and thought I wasn't feeling anything. But actually, it was this subtle thing over here, or it was these words that came through, but I was expecting a body sensation, so it's like that. So it's really this practice of getting to know yourself in what is a yes and what is a no. And that's the baseline. So I'm going to give the other piece and just drop it in there, even though I know that so many people want to jump to the second piece, when the importance is that you stay with this first piece for a good amount of time. I would say 2 weeks is minimum. 2 weeks, 3 times a day. I would suggest daily for a month, or 5 days a week for a month. So it's this consistent. It's like, oh, I did it in the morning, and then I did it in the afternoon. The next day I did it again in the morning. Like, I start to really discover this is what it feels like when something is just a total yes. Maybe it feels like completely open space, which is why I wasn't registering a sensation, because it's actually all channels clear. Oh, this is what it feels like when it's a no. And that way, when you're out in the world and someone says, do you want to go to that party? You go like, oh, I'm having the no sensation. Or I'm having the yeah. I thought I didn't want to go to that party, but it's all systems go. And, I'm thinking of a woman who worked with this and really took it on and did this as a daily practice, and then was able to start following it. Her housemate would offer her something to eat, and she would think, I love that thing, but she'd get a no. And she just really started to follow, like, okay, I'm going to follow what the systems of my body are telling me and find out what happens. And that develops this trust with your intuition, with the way that your body-mind communicates with you, so that you can become subtle enough, even in moments where it's like, oh, I get it. You're telling me that you don't want to do this. I am going to do it, but I totally hear you. Here's why I'm going to do it, and here's how I'm going to honor you. You can get into this kind of a subtle relationship with yourself in this way, but it starts at the very baseline of actually knowing what a yes feels like, sounds like, what the experience of a yes inside your body mind is, what the experience, the full experience of a no in your body mind is. And as you start to translate this into your life, my first encouragement, especially when this is a little bit newer, is if you don't get a clear yes or a clear no, you call that a no for now. And that honors the body system. It honors that there's not a clear yes. So even if there's not a clear no, there's an honoring that says, I'm going to say no for now and check back later. I can't answer that question yet. Will you ask me again tomorrow? I'm going to sleep on it and let you know. And this starts to become a tool that you can use to play with things in your life. When you practice with answering questions that you already know the answer to, then you can start to bring in, should I wear this skirt? Do I want to go to this movie? Should I have eggs for dinner? They're relatively simple and kind of low consequence things. And then you start to suss out, oh yeah, I felt the yes. Okay, I'll do it. Oh, I felt the no. Okay, I'll say no. In that way, you begin to build the trust, the self-trust, both the knowledge of yourself and then the self-trust that you can actually begin to use this on even the bigger questions and trust that what is coming through is true. So again, I'll say it comes back though to practicing the basics. And the basics is a set period of time, maybe 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, where your body can be relaxed, where you ask yourself questions you know the answer is yes, and questions you know the answer is no. And you pay really exquisite attention to yourself so that you can feel and sense and see and hear and see what is the response that comes back. And in that way, truly get to know how your body-mind functions and communicates with you. I'd love to hear if you take this on. You can always email me through my website. Let me know what opens up. Let me know what questions you have. And I wish you just all the joy, really, that comes with having this kind of relationship with your intuition and knowing with more solidity your own yes and your own no.